Peace. My name is MystyMoon, and I am an integrative health coach for women. And my purpose is to help women heal physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And today we'll be addressing the emotional aspect of healing through the topic emotional eating. All right, let's get to it. Now, emotional eating is something that I know very, very well. When I was in the depths of my depression, I would go to pizzas and pastries and cookies, and there was even a handful of times where I would go to Safeway and buy a big box of Intamins and just knock it out within 10, 15 minutes and still be hungry for more. And I've also have had a pattern of eating really quickly. Even when I'm eating healthy food, I'm just scarfing it down. So it's taken me some work to get to the point where I was able to finally eradicate it completely, and I'll be sharing that with you in this segment. So I want you to know, any of you out there who is suffering from emotionally eating and you want to break free of this vicious cycle, I promise you, you can do it. It's just a matter of being diligent, doing the work, and being committed to it. Okay, so we'll get to that shortly. So, what is emotional eating? So, emotional eating is when it's the practice of consuming large quantities of food or junk food in response to feelings instead of hunger. Okay, so it's a way to suppress or soothe negative emotions such as depression, low self-esteem, grief, boredom, believe it or not, anger, and in any type of stress. Whenever you feel those, if you don't know how to deal with your negative emotions, then you go to food to suppress them. Okay. Now, emotional eating has both a physical and a psychological effect on the body. From a physical perspective, it can cause excessive weight gain, diabetes, high blood pressure, fatigue, nausea, and it also can create an imbalance in the cortisol levels in your body, because your cortisol is your stress hormone. And if you're going towards food whenever you feel the cortisol kick in, then it creates an imbalance, and the cortisol doesn't know how to respond when you get stressed. And from a psychological perspective, it affects the body through, it affects the psychology through having a dependency on food. You find yourself retreating from social support during times of emotional distress, increased negative self-talk, and it becomes more difficult. Well, I guess this is more of a physical, but it becomes more difficult to tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. Now, there's many signs, but I just want to give you 5 signs if you are an emotional eater and maybe you're not quite sure. So the 5 signs that indicates that you are emotionally eating is that you need to eat a very specific food. So for me, it was always pastries. It was always cookies, danishes, muffins. Oh my God, the muffins. You keep eating even after you've eaten a meal. And that's something that would just astound me. Like after I just garfed down all this food, I was still hungry, like all day, still hungry, still snacking. And like I mentioned earlier, another sign is that you eat fast, even if you're eating healthy food. If you're eating really fast, that could be a sign that there's some emotional eating because you're eating out of anxiety. And I know for me, when that pattern started was when I was in college. I was at Body Mind College, actually. And I also was like really in my emotions at that time because the school, that training and that education was all about going into our own trauma. So I'm walking around like an open wound, plus I'm giving massages and I'm commuting everywhere. I was doing like 8 to 10 massages a day. So I would get in the car and scarf down my food, go to class, go to work. So that's where that came in. So it was coming from a place of anxiety. The last 2 signs that you are an emotional eater is that you eat immediately after an emotional event. I know another thing I've done in the past is whenever my husband and I would get into a fight, then immediately I'm going towards the sweets. And then lastly, you feel guilty about eating. And it just becomes this nasty, vicious cycle. You emotionally eat, then you feel like crap, and then you just keep emotionally eating, and it just goes on and on and on. It's just like a vicious, nasty imbalance to have. So, the reason why that we emotionally eat has nothing to do with the food. It has nothing to do with being addicted to the sugar. If you are a sugar eater, although that's another topic within its own. But when it comes to emotionally eating, it's all about the emotions. That's what it's all about. It's all about not not having the capacity to deal with your emotions. Now, let's take a look at the word emotion. So in Latin, emotion is translated as energy in motion. Okay? So emotions are basically just energetic sensations in our body that we feel, and it contracts or it expands or it it either expands or it contracts based on the psychological effect. Okay? So just hear me out here. So what this means is that emotions in general are neutral, but it's the thoughts that we give to those emotions that makes them negative or positive. So I'm going to read you a quote from psychologist and researcher Barbara Fredrickson, pardon me. And this is what she has to say about emotions. In itself, emotional energy is neutral. It is the feeling, sensation, and physiological reaction that makes a specific emotion positive or negative. Feeling is what you label as anger, sadness, joy, or fear. It is then your interpretation or thoughts about emotional energy that gives it meaning. Emotion serves as the carrier wave, and emotions are known to be like compared to water, right? So emotion serves as the carrier waves for the entire spectrum of feelings. Understanding that emotions are energy implies that they are fluid, moving resources meant to be felt and released versus suppressed and ignored. Okay? So let's just think about that for a moment. Now, if emotions is just energy in the body, and if energy cannot be created nor destroyed, that means that when you suppress those emotions down into your body, they're not going anywhere. They're still there. And they're going to fester, and they're going to affect and they're going to feed your negative thoughts. Okay? And then sometimes emotions, those quote unquote negative emotions, can manifest into cancer, into fibroids, into all these different imbalances in the body. I just want to give you another example. Dr. Emoto, I don't know if any of you have heard of him. He was a Japanese scientist. May he rest in peace. He did an experiment called the water experiment. He was featured in a documentary called What the Bleep Do We Know? And with this water experiment, he had 2 jars of water. One jar of water, he said positive things to it. I love you, you're beautiful, etc. The other jar, you're ugly, I hate you, etc. He froze them, then took them out of the freezer and looked at both waters underneath the microscope. And on a cellular difference, you can see the difference. The positive water had the molecules on the water that had positive words put into it were perfectly geometrical shapes. They looked like snowflakes. And then the jar that had negative water, those molecules were like dark and distorted and just ugly. So that is scientific evidence there alone that our thoughts or emotions can shift us on a molecular level. And if we're 75% water, then the things that we're thinking constantly is shifting us whether it's negative or positive, it is shifting us on a molecular level. So if you have the suppressed energy circulating in your body and it's negative, then that just goes to show what type of havoc that it is creating in your body. Okay? So, my sweet beloved ladies who are out there suffering with emotional eating, I have to tell you that if you want to break this vicious cycle, the only way out is to feel your emotions. To feel your emotions. There's no way out of it. I'm sorry, but that's the way. It hurts. It's not glamorous, but that's the only way that we're going to reach sustainable healing is through feeling our emotions. So, what's a quick tool that you could use that you can just start using right away? Journaling. And I know that we always hear that from coaches and from therapists, but there is something powerful about journaling because what it does, it creates a hyper awareness of what's happening in your emotions and your thought process. And when you actually write it down, you're balancing both the left and right brain hemisphere. So you're having that logical by writing it down, but you're getting to the creative in the feeling part of it by feeling what it is that you're writing. Okay, so I want to say something to you about, there's this, I forget the name of it, but it's this chart. I got this from Aaron Duckley. There's a chart that shows how emotions, it shows how emotions are quantified based on frequency. And so the lower emotions like sadness, depression, grief, fear, that's on the lower part of the frequency, I've shared this before in other videos. Then when you get to the top, it's all love and enlightenment and joy and excitement. Those are the higher frequencies. And right in the middle is neutrality. So again, when it comes to identifying and breaking the spell, dissipating these negative emotions, it's simply by awareness. That's like stopping the bleeding. Once you become aware, then you can start to do the healing. So journaling is a way to, again, become aware of those emotions so you can disempower them. And then from there, you can go deeper and do the work. Okay, so it's going to be more than that, though. I just want to give you a tool that you can just use at home that, at least, like I said, just stop the bleeding. But this is something that you want to work with in tandem with a therapist or with a coach, because this is what's going to happen is that once you become aware of the emotion, then from the emotion, it's going to lead you, because this is the thing. What we're doing here is feeling the emotions, because the negative emotions are there for a reason. There's something that caused for those emotions to be in your body. And those emotions were caused from a thought, a negative thought. And a negative thought was created through some type of belief that happened in your past. So the emotion, when you allow yourself to feel the emotion, even though it's not going to be comfortable, it's going to guide you to getting aware of what the beliefs are. And then from there, you can find out what the history or the trigger of that belief, and then you can pull that from the root. And once you pull that from the root, then that's when you have sustainable health and happiness. But it's going to take maintenance. It's not that easy. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be as easy as just writing in your journal. But again, I wanted to give you a tool where you could just start using right away. Okay, so again, the purpose of this is to get to the root of our belief systems that's causing these negative thoughts, that's causing these negative emotions, that's causing us to feel overwhelmed, to want to emotionally eat to suppress it. Okay? So what are some other quick tools that you can do right away? So I mentioned journaling. Another is restorative yoga. And I'll actually put a link in the description of a really easy restorative yoga that you could do. Get yourself a really good book to read. Just get yourself engaged. And one of my favorite tools, whenever you feel hunger coming on, just put on your favorite music, turn off the lights, and have a dance party in your room. I know this all sounds cheesy, but it's just, at least it's doing something different to get you out of that habit of going into the kitchen and, gorging yourself out. And the last two suggestions is to, when you feel the hunger coming on, start to clean your house, start to rearrange your house, just to get yourself active and, again, getting out of that pattern. And the last, pray. Pray to the God that you understand, the way that you understand God, and ask for strength and ask for guidance. Okay, so those are something that you can do really, really easy. But again, if you really want to get to the depths of this, I highly recommend working with the coach, working with the therapist. This is something that I know very well and something I'm trained in to help. So if you feel like you want to reach out and you want to get some more support, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to guide you through getting to the roots of your negative thoughts so that you can stop emotionally eating, because life is short and you want to enjoy it. So if you're ready to get out of this vicious cycle, then you're going to have to put in the work. There's no other way around it. So I hope that this information helped in some way or another. Again, if you feel like you could use some assistance, please reach out to me. I have a 3-month program where we meet twice a month. It comes with a 21-day detox. It comes with the customized yoga. It comes with all these tools. We'll do shadow work with the inner child, mental hygiene, help you to develop emotional intelligence. So it's a full program that I would love to share with you to help you get out of this nasty, vicious cycle. Okay, so that is my talk for today. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.